हाँ जी दोस्तों, क्या हाल है, क्या हाल है, क्या हाल है सर। अ वेरी 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 गुड मॉर्निंग टू यू ऑल। हाउ आर यू ऑल डूइंग टुडे? हाउ आर यू ऑल डूइंग टुडे? फटाफट मेरे को ये बताओ, क्या आप लोगों को मैं दिखाई दे रहा हूँ? क्या आप लोगों को मेरी आवाज आ रही है? इज एवरीथिंग गुड? सो दैट एंड टेल मी हु ऑल आर हियर सो दैट वी कैन गेट स्टार्टेड। कौन कौन है यहाँ पे आज? सर आपको संडे का ही दिन मिलता है क्या? सर आपको संडे का ही दिन मिलता है क्या हमको पकड़ करके पढ़ाने के लिए? हु ऑल आर हियर? Okay, guys, good. So many people. Yay. Amazing. अब तो मेरे को तुम लोगों के नाम भी याद हो जाएंगे. चलो. Okay, sir. What are we going to do? First of all, I'm so sorry about my voice. ठीक है. बैठ ही रखा है. पता नहीं कब उठेगा. बहुत आलसी है. पर उठ जाएगा कभी ना कभी. ठीक है. अब मेरी बात सुनो. अब हम क्या पढ़ने वाले हैं सर? वी वर स्टडिंग negotiable instrument act. Negotiable Instrument Act, we had already done two classes on this particular act. And what had we studied specifically in those two classes, sir? Can anyone tell me? What all has, okay, what will you tell me? You tell me, have you, after going home, studied this particular chapter at home? Have you studied this particular chapter at home after going home? Sir, भाई आया है, बता के जाएगा. सुनो, what have we studied till now? We have studied that negotiable instruments are of three types: promissory note, bills of exchange, and checks. We read the definition of each one of them and we understood in detail what is the nature of each one of them. And then we understood that any particular negotiable instrument can be of two types. One is payable to order, payable to bearer. Payable to order, payable to bearer. Payable to order means what? Payable to order means what? You are paying to, say, Mr. X. That is payable to order. Payable to bearer means what? Blank check. Then there was there I taught you a concept which was called payable to demand, payable on demand, and payable on time. Payable on demand, payable on time, which is time instrument basically, and demand instrument. What is demand instrument and time instrument? So demand instrument and time instrument are basically two different kinds of instruments, in which demand instrument you pay at site or on presentment or on demand. That is जब आके पैसा मांगेगा, you'll have to give the money. But in case of pay time instrument, there is a specific time. There is a specific time, and on that date you have to make the payment. Sir, when we were reading about check in detail, we read about crossing of a check. There were four kind of crossing: general crossing, special crossing, restrictive crossing, and not negotiable crossing. These are the four kind of crossing that were there. उसके बाद सर क्या हुआ भाई? एक सेकेंड. उसके बाद what we had studied was that I had told you that when there is a time instrument, you have to calculate the maturity. How will we calculate the maturity, sir? You will calculate the due date, and after that the due date, you will add 3 grace days. And when you add 3 grace days, you will arrive at a period which is called as the maturity date. Did you understand this, sir? Did you understand this? We had studied something called as maturity date. उसके बाद sir, we studied a concept, very important concept called as acceptor versus acceptor for honor. Acceptor versus acceptor for honor is the concept which we studied in detail. When you accept in the first place, you become an acceptor. But when you do not accept and someone accepts it in your honor, it becomes acceptance for honor. Then we read, sir, holder versus holder in due course. उसके बाद अपन ने पढ़ा holder versus holder in due course. Holder, what is holder, sir? Holder is a person who in his own name is entitled to two things: possession of such particular instrument. Sir, are you up? Are you up? Are you awake? Holder was two things. Holder is a person who is entitled to hold in his name who is entitled to do the following two things in his own name. One, receive the possession of the possession of the instrument. Second, to receive the money or to recover the amount thereon. Receive the amount or recover the amount due thereon in case there is a default. So sir, ये holder था. Now what is a holder in due course? What is a holder in due course? Holder plus something plus something plus something is equal to holder in due course. What is holder plus something something comes something? Sir, first is consideration. You have paid consideration. You have paid a valuable consideration. It need not be adequate consideration. Second, you have taken it before maturity of the instrument. The instrument has been taken before maturity. And third, you have taken it in good faith. Good faith as in what, sir? Without having sufficient cause or to believe that the title of the person transferring such instrument is defective. जो दे रहा है आपको उसका title defective है ये सोचने का you had no reasons. That is what is called as holder in good faith and holder plus consideration plus before maturity plus good faith is equal to holder in due course. नहीं बेटा, आई एम गुड, थैंक यू, आई एम नॉट अनवेल, आई एम वेरी गुड, बट वो मेरा गला बहुत बैठा हुआ है बस, और कुछ नहीं. ठीक है, ओके गाइस, अब मेरी बात सुनो प्लीज प्लीज प्लीज. होल्डर हो गया सर, होल्डर इन ड्यू कोर्स हो गया, वी स्टडीड दिस इन डिटेल, बट सर आई टोल्ड यू the person who is a holder in due course, he gets some privileges. He gets some privileges as compared to holder. Sir, what are the privileges? Sir, if you are a holder in due course, you can get good title even if the title of the prior party is defective. But in case of a holder, you cannot get a good title if the title of the prior party is defective. That is one of the many privileges. One of the many privileges that an holder in due course gets over a holder. Did you understand, sir? Uske baad, I think we will move with today's class. What are the other kind of things that we have to read? Sir, listen to me very carefully. Sir, what are we going to start with today? Actually, we had studied one more topic also, endorsement. We had studied about endorsement. I had told you that endorsement can be of 5 types. First of all, I told you that for a negotiable instrument, to negotiate a negotiable instrument, there are 2 ways to negotiate. Right? It depends on whether it is an order instrument or a bearer instrument. For bearer instrument, sir, for bearer instrument to negotiate, what do you have to do? For example, a promissory note was created. I promise to pay dash rupees 50,000. सर क्या ये बेरर प्रॉमिसरी नोट हो गया? हाँ सर. इज बेरर प्रॉमिसरी नोट अलाउड? नो सर, बेरर प्रॉमिसरी नोट इज नॉट अलाउड, बट मा लाइफ मा एग्जांपल्स बेरर प्रॉमिसरी नोट है. इफ I gave this promissory note to Salman, and now Salman wants to give this to Aishwarya, how can he give it? He can give it by mere delivery, sir. Mere delivery. Ye le rakh le, this is mere delivery. So bearer instrument can be negotiated merely by delivery, but in case of order instrument, in order to negotiate, you will have to first endorse and then deliver. Then sir, we understood in detail that what is delivery. Delivery is a very important part. Okay, delivery can be further divided into 2 parts. One is actual, one is constructive. One is actual, one is constructive. What is actual delivery, sir? You go and give it in the other person's hand. It is called as actual delivery. What is constructive delivery? If you don't give to that person, but you give it to that person's agent. You don't give it to that person, you give it to that person's agent. It will be considered as what? Constructive delivery. Because ऐसा मान लिया जाएगा. It will be deemed that you have delivered to the third party. This is called as what? This is called as what? This is called as constructive delivery. Now guys, listen. Delivery is a very important part for a negotiation to happen. If for example, let's talk about order instrument. I had created an order instrument in favor of Salman Khan. Okay? I had created an order instrument. Say, I promise to pay rupees 50,000 to Salman. This is an order instrument. This is my signature. This is promise to pay rupees 50,000 to Salman. This is an order instrument. If I were to negotiate it, how will I negotiate it? I will endorse plus deliver. Endorse and deliver. Now, for example, what I did was, in this case of order instrument, what did I do? Salman Khan ne sign kar diya. Salman Khan ne piche likh diya pay to Ash. And then he signed. He made a signature. Now, after making that signature, he did not actually go and deliver it to Aishwarya. He just kept it in his drawer. He did not deliver to Aishwarya. Is this a valid negotiation? No, sir. Delivery is very important. Sir, now instead of Salman, say here, there was a Mr. D. And Mr. D was also a great fan of Aishwarya. So what he did was, he also negotiated this in favor of Aishwarya, but he did not deliver it. So he endorsed it, but he did not deliver it. But before delivery, what happened? He died. Before delivery, he died, sir. बहुत important point बता रहा हूँ, सुन लो. If there is a negotiable instrument which is payable to order, to negotiate it, you will have to do 2 things: endorse and deliver. Now, if a person, Mr. D, had a negotiable instrument in his favor, he endorsed it in favor of Aishwarya, but before delivering it, he died. If Mr. D died before delivering, then what happened? Mr. Chota, Mr. Chota, son of Mr. D, son of Mr. D जो है, what did he do? He took this negotiable instrument and he delivered it to Aishwarya. He delivered it to Aishwarya. My question to you is this a valid delivery? Is this a valid negotiation? Sir, what happened? You had created a negotiable instrument in favor of Mr. D. Mr. D died. He had endorsed it. Mr. D had endorsed it, but before he could deliver it, he died. Now his son took that particular instrument and just gave it to Mr. Aishwarya Rai. Can it be said to be, can you say that negotiable instrument has been negotiated? Sir, the answer is no. You cannot. You cannot say so, sir. Why? Because negotiation कब होगा? When you are doing endorsement and delivery. If you are doing endorsement, but you are not delivering it, and you die, then that endorsement has no value. Then when it comes to Mr. Chota, na, he will have to again endorse it and then again deliver it. He will have to endorse it again and then deliver it. Only then this will be a valid thing. Sir, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, कितनी नींद आ रही है आपको? How sleepy are you on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest? बोलो बोलो, कुछ तो बोलो, मुंह तो खोलो. ओके, 0-0 वाले हैं, बच गए. 4 वाले तो सो 4 1 1 guy is saying 4. जो लोग 10 पे होंगे वो लोग तो सो रहे होंगे ना. जो लोग 10 पे होंगे वो लोग तो सो रहे होंगे ना. नेक्स्ट सर सुनो. Sir, after that we spoke about endorsement. How many type of endorsements are there? Number 1, endorsement in blank. In blank as in what? There is a negotiable instrument. You just write payable to dash. Payable to dash. It becomes a blank instrument. Then we write endorsement in full. In full as in you are writing properly the name of specified person. So endorsement in blank is merely signature. Endorsement is in full is signature plus name of the person. Then uske baad we write partial endorsement. Partial endorsement is, sir, invalid. You cannot do partial endorsement. Partial endorsement is basically for a bill of exchange, say, which has 10 lakh rupees. You are saying we will endorse only 5 lakh rupees. No, that is not allowed. But however, if part payment already done, if part payment is already done, for the other part you can endorse. So for example, if a check was for 2000 rupees, if 1500 rupees is already paid, for the remaining 500 rupees you can always endorse. Otherwise, if it is not paid and you are doing part endorsement, it is absolutely void. Uske baad sir we read restrictive endorsement. What do you do in restrictive endorsement? You basically restrict the negotiability of the further instrument. Matlab, sir, you gave the instrument to Salman, but Salman cannot negotiate it to Aishwarya. That is restrictive endorsement. And then we read conditional endorsement. Sir, in conditional endorsement, we read 4 types of endorsement. Number 1, sans recourse. Sans recourse means what? Sir, sans recourse means what? Without recourse means what? In case of tomorrow, in case if there is a default, you cannot come back to me. You will have to deal it on your own. I will not be responsible. There is no coming back. This is called as sans recourse. Similar to sans recourse, there was sans phrase. Sans phrase means what, sir? Without expense. That means if tomorrow, after I give you the negotiable instrument, if you incur any further expenses, I will not be liable for that. Tomorrow, if you have to go and file a case, I am not responsible for that because I am signing a negotiable instrument, sans phrase. Then we read, sir, contingent. An instrument which is contingent upon happening of an uncertain event. एक uncertain event है. If that happens, I'll pay you. If that doesn't happen, I'll not pay you. That is called contingent. And the last and the most important, facultative. What is facultative, sir? Facultative means what? Sir, what is facultative? Facultative means what? You are saying that I am waiving off my rights or I am increasing my liabilities in case of default, if default happens. So, sir, this is basically waiving of rights. And increase in liability. जैसे कि सर वेविंग ऑफ राइट्स का एग्जांपल दो, देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज नोटिस ऑफ डिसऑनर दैट वी विल स्टडी टुडे. इफ यू आर सेइंग मेरे को नोटिस ऑफ डिसऑनर नहीं लगेगा, यू आर बेसिकली वेविंग ऑफ योर राइट्स. ओके गाइस, okay guys, now guys, endorsement to be understood. We will read 2 3 bigger topics today, and then we will complete this class. 2 3 major topics which you need to understand from me. Okay sir, are you ready? Sir, are you ready? मैं चिल्ला नहीं पा रहा हूं, पर इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आप रेडी नहीं हो. आर यू रेडी? Okay sir, chalo. Sir, few smaller concepts first that I'll teach you. Some smaller concepts. Okay sir, if you obtain a negotiable instrument by way of fraud or by unlawful manner, no, by unlawful manner, then you have no rights. You have no rights except in case where you are a holder in due course or received such negotiable instrument from holder in due course. क्या मतलब सर? If you have received a negotiable instrument by way of fraud or unlawful means, you have no rights. You have no rights to sue someone. You have no rights to receive the money from someone unless you are a holder in due course or you are a party who has received it from holder in due course. क्या मतलब सर? सुनना. If A created a negotiable instrument in favor of B, P kept it in his drawer, but that got चोरी, stolen. चोरी. चोर जो है ना, चोर, he gave it to Mr. C. He gave it to Mr. C. Now, case 1, C is a holder. C is a holder as in what, sir? He did not acquire this particular thing for a consideration and before maturity and everything. So, if he's a holder, can he go and sue Mr. A? Can he go and sue Mr. A or B? The answer is no, boss. The answer is no. If you have obtained it by any unlawful means, you don't have any right. But if, sir, he had obtained it for any consideration, if he had obtained it for consideration before maturity, and that too for in good faith, then he would have become a holder in due course. He would have become a holder in due course. And if he were a holder in due course, he can definitely go and sue anyone. He has all the rights in the world. Now, sir, imagine a situation in the same example. If Mr. C, who is a holder in due course, the holder in due course, he further gave this negotiable instrument to D for as a gift, sir, as a gift. My question is does D have the right? Does D have the right? Sir, C, who is a holder in due course, if he gave it to D for as a gift, would C have the would D have the right? Would D have the right? Sir, right to what? Right to have that particular negotiable instrument, right to get the money, to receive the amount out of that negotiable instrument. Will you have the right? Sir, in this case, D will have the right. The answer is yes. Why? Because D received his rights from a holder in due course. So if you are a holder in due course or if you are a person who claims his right through a holder in due course, मतलब आपको holder in due course के through instrument आया है. In both the cases, you are allowed to go and receive the amount even though D is a holder. D holder है. He is not a holder in due course, but still he can receive. So sir, you are seeing, right? यहाँ पे holder cannot file. Because why? He received it from a chore. But holder in due course could have. And further, if you give it to again to a holder, he can. Okay. Okay, sir. Now, second small concept. मेरी बात ध्यान से सुनना. Sir, you said that negotiable instrument can be negotiated. Negotiated as in what? A B को दिया, B C को, C D को, D E को, E F को, F G को. कब तक चल सकता है, sir? For how long? For how long can you negotiate? For how long can you negotiate? अरे वो सब्जी वाला negotiate नहीं रे बाबा कि भैया भिंडी कितना दिया, वो negotiate नहीं. Endorse and deliver, or in case of payable to bearer, mere delivery. How long can you negotiate? Option A, till maturity. Option B, till payment. Option C, till 14 days from due date. Option D, till due date. सर टिल ड्यू डेट और मेच्योरिटी में क्या फर्क होता है? +3 days करते हो ग्रेस पीरियड का, तब मेच्योरिटी आता है. अब मेरे को बताओ, फॉर हाउ लॉन्ग कैन यू नेगोशिएट एन इंस्ट्रूमेंट? सो फॉर एग्जांपल, अ प्रॉमिसरी नोट वाज क्रिएटेड ऑन 1st of Jan and that promissory note was payable on 28th February. नहीं, that promissory note was payable on 28th February. हाँ. So until when can you negotiate? Sir, the answer is till payment. Till payment. Not till maturity, till payment. Guys, listen. This promissory note is payable on 28th of February. A gave this promissory note to B. B will give to C. C will give to D. Now D has this promissory note on 28th February. Sir, this date is, what is this date? This date only means to say that from today onwards, I am liable to pay you this particular 50,000 rupees. From today, from 28th February, I am liable. Before that, I am not liable. But sir, can D go on 25th March and say, boss, mera paisa de de? Can he go on 25th of March? Absolutely he can go. Anytime after 28th February he can go. तो सर जब तक A के जेब से पैसे नहीं निकले ना, till the time the debt is not satisfied or paid, till the time the negotiable instrument is not satisfied or paid, till that time you can keep on negotiating it. You can keep on negotiating it. So now let me tell you a concept of negotiation back. Let me tell you a concept of negotiation back. Sir, what is negotiation back? Listen to me very carefully. Sir, tell me something. If A gave a negotiable instrument to B, B gave it to C, C gave it to D, D gave it to E, and then E gave it back to B. E gave it back to B. What is this process called as, sir? This is called as negotiation back. घूम फिर के तुम्हारे पास ही आ गया. अब सर इसमें क्या है समझना? The holder, imagine if A did not pay, imagine A did not pay the money, what will happen? People will go to B. B will go to E, कि boss मेरे पैसे दे. E will go to D, कि boss मेरे पैसे दे. D will go to C. C will go to B. It's like turning your hand around and slapping yourself opposite ऐसा. अरे ऐसा कोई करता है क्या boss? What is the sense of all these things? It makes no sense. So law says that when a negotiation back happens, that is when a person who was an endorser, he was what's an endorser? When he endorsed this instrument to C, he was an endorser and he was an endorsee. Then when the endorser becomes endorsee, when the endorser जो endorse कर रहा था वो घूम फिर के उसके पास as an endorsee आ गया, तो all the intermediary parties मतलब sir E, D and C, all of them get discharged. What did I say, sir? All the intermediary parties get discharged. They have no liability at all. That is called as a discharge of intermediary parties in case if there is a rotation like this. But sir, tell me one thing. If A had given to B, B had given to C, C had given to D, D had given to E. E gave it back to B. But here there is a catch, sir. When initially B had endorsed it, he had endorsed sans recourse. Sans recourse, when B had given to C, he had endorsed it to sans recourse. Now in this case, what will happen, sir? Will E, D and C get discharged? Will E, C and D get discharged? Option A, C, D and E are discharged. Option B, D and E are discharged. C liable. Option C, none discharged. Option D, none of the above. Sir, what is the answer? In this case, there is a negotiation back, but B, when B had signed it, he had signed it sans recourse. Sir, logically, why we had discharged all the people in this case? Logically, we have discharged the case because घूम फिर के तुम्हारे पास ही आएगा. It will come back to you. It's like a boomerang. You throw it, it will come back to you. But in case of sans recourse, it will not come back to you. In case of sans recourse, it will not come back to you. You will go to E. E will go to D. D will go to C, but C cannot come back to you. In that case, sir, C, D and E are both, all of them are liable. So the answer is none of them get discharged in case of negotiation back where you are coming when the endorser had made it. No, endorser had made it what? Sans recourse. सर कुछ दिमाग में घुस रहे. तुम लोग आज बहुत ज्यादा एक्टिव नहीं हो. तुम्हारे मैं चिल्ला नहीं रहा हूं तो तुम लोग नहीं एक्टिव रहोगे क्या? बोलो बोलो, कुछ तो बोलो, मुंह तो खोलो. Okay, sir. Now listen to me very carefully. We are going to start a very important concept called as a discharge. सर व्हाट इज अ डिस्चार्ज? सर नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट में दो चीज होती है. देयर आर पार्टीज इन द नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट and there is a negotiable instrument itself. Okay. Now, what do you mean by discharge? Discharge means that, boss, you are done, you are not liable anymore. When I talk in terms of parties, when say A gave a negotiable instrument to B gave it to C gave it to D. Now D went to A asking for payment. Okay. And A gave the payment. A gave the payment. Payment कर दिया. In that case, sir, in that case, if A has successfully made the payment to D, then the negotiable instrument is called as discharged. And sir, when the whole negotiable instrument is discharged, all the parties also are discharged. मतलब किसी का right नहीं है, किसी का liability नहीं है. Everything is over basically. This is called as discharge of negotiable instrument. And when discharge of negotiable instrument happens, all parties also get discharged automatically. सारे के सारे parties भी क्या हो जाते हैं? Discharge. But sir, listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very carefully. Sir, but there can be cases that only a few parties are discharged. Negotiable instrument still remains. क्या मतलब सर? मैं आपको बताता हूँ, सुनो. Sir, A gave a negotiable instrument to B gave it to C gave it to D gave it to E. Sir, how did C give to D? How did C give to D? Sir, C had written pay to C, pay to D, and he had signed it. Mr. C had signed it. And then he wrote pay to E, and Mr. D had signed it. Now, sir, what happened? This guy, Mr. E, he was a crack fellow. What he did was he removed this endorsement. He removed this endorsement. What he did was on the negotiable instrument on the behind, he just cut across that particular instrument. Now, sir, because of this, what will happen? Because of this, what will happen? C had made an endorsement to D. C had made an endorsement to D. Now you have removed the liability. You have removed the rights of C. You have removed the rights of C. Now D जो है ना D, he cannot go back and sue C. Why, sir? Because you have removed that endorsement altogether. Now D cannot go back to C and claim any kind of any kind of damages. So in that case, even D will be discharged and he will not be required to pay any amount when there is a default. D also get discharged because Mr. E जो है ना उसने काट दिया जबरदस्ती का. Sir, Mr. E ने C और D की responsibility काट दी. He just removed it. So in that case, sir, D gets discharged. But sir, this is just discharge of parties. This is just discharge of parties. It is not a discharge of the negotiable instrument. The negotiable instrument in itself is still valid. The negotiable instrument in itself is still valid. Okay, so discharge में there can be two kinds of discharge. One where some parties are discharged, one where the whole instrument is discharged. If the whole instrument is discharged, then by nature all the parties get discharged. Sir, did you understand? Sir, did you understand? Okay, sir. अब मेरी बात सुनो. Listen to me. Guys, listen to me. सुनो. Sir, discharge होते कैसे? Discharge होता कैसे है? By law, when you talk about law, what are the modes in which you can get discharged? आराम से सुनना बहुत आसान है. Sir, पहला cancellation. पहला cancellation. दूसरा release. तीसरा payment. सर ये तीनों सबसे इजी है. उसके बाद अपन और पढ़ेंगे, पर ये तीनों सबसे इजी है. व्हाट इज कैंसिलेशन? व्हाट इज डिस्चार्ज? सर डिस्चार्ज मतलब क्या? डिस्चार्ज मतलब यू आर बेसिकली लेटिंग समवन गेट रिड ऑफ द लायबिलिटी. बॉस यू आर नॉट लायबल एनीवन. सर व्हाट इज डिस्चार्ज बाय कैंसिलेशन? जैसा मैंने आपको ऊपर एग्जांपल में दिखाया, आपने किसी का इंडोर्समेंट ही कैंसिल कर दिया. यू हैव सिंपली क्रॉस्ड इट आउट. That is called as a discharge by cancellation. When you discharge a particular party by cancellation, now all subsequent parties also get discharged. If you, for example, discharge C, then C is not liable. If C is not liable, D cannot get his right, so D will also not be liable. So when you discharge a particular liability, all the subsequent parties also get liable. ठीक है, बाद वाले parties भी liable नहीं रहते. उसके बाद sir, I said discharge by release. What is discharge by release, sir? Discharge by release is similar to cancellation. Only difference is, sir, release happens by way of agreement or by way of waiver, etc. agreement, waiver, etc. There are multiple ways by which discharge can happen. Discharge by release. उसके बाद सर discharge by payment. What is discharge by payment? इसमें क्या है? इसमें तो सर you actually go and make the payment. You actually go and make the payment. That is discharge by payment. Are you getting me? You actually go and make the payment. That is discharge by payment. समझ आ रहा है सर आपको मैं क्या कह रहा हूं? Are you getting what I am trying to say? Actually, guys, I'm horribly not feeling well. I think I'm getting fever also. Uh, okay, let's try for another 5-10 minutes. So, no, sir. Listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very carefully, guys. What are we talking about? We are talking about discharge. Okay, discharge are of three kinds. One is cancellation, one is release, and one is payment. Cancellation, release, and payment. What is cancellation, sir? As I told you, any intermediary parties. Any intermediary parties, if you're cancelling out their name, it means that basically you're discharging that party. So, sir, for example, शुभम ने आपको ए बी सी डी से नहीं समझ आएगा. शुभम ने सलमान को दिया, सलमान ने ऐश्वर्या को दिया, ऐश्वर्या ने अभिषेक बच्चन को दिया. Now, what did Abhishek Bachchan do? Abhishek Bachchan saw Salman's name and he crossed it out. He just crossed it out. In that case, sir, if you are letting go Salman, then all the subsequent parties will also be let gone. Why? Because if he is not liable, then Aishwarya lost her rights. Because Aishwarya now can't claim from Salman, so she will not be liable to pay you also. So Aishwarya is also discharged. This is called as discharge by cancellation. Okay, discharge by cancellation. But the second type of discharge is discharge by release. So Shubham gave it to Salman, Salman gave it to Aishwarya, Aishwarya gave it to Abhishek. Now, in this case, Aishwarya and Salman entered into an agreement that we are discharging Salman. We are discharging Salman. In this case, sir, you are basically not cancelling. You are just releasing a particular person out of his liability. And if you are releasing a person, such kind of thing also leads to discharge of parties. Sir, दोनों में difference क्या है? Cancellation में आप सिर्फ ऐसे काट दे रहे हो. Release में आप क्या कर रहे हो? आप एक agreement में enter कर रहे हो, एक waiver agreement में enter कर रहे हो. किसी तरीके से you are discharging. Third is payment, sir. In payment, you are making actual payment. When you make actual payment, the negotiable instrument is discharged, and when negotiable instrument is discharged, all parties are also discharged. When negotiable instrument is discharged, all parties are also discharged. उसके बाद sir, what did you say? उसके बाद what did you say? उसके बाद I said, sir, there are few other ways you can discharge. Logically सोचना समझ आ जाएगा. Logically सुनना समझ आ जाएगा. ठीक है? Sir, in case of bills of exchange, if you did not accept it in within 48 hours, or you accepted, or you gave a qualified acceptance. Sir, what is this? सुनो मेरी बात, आराम से सुनो. Sir, I order Mr. Shubham to pay rupees 50,000 to Mr. Salman. और ये किसने साइन किया? Mr. APC ने साइन किया. This is what, sir? This is an order instrument. This is an order instrument. This is an order instrument which is payable to Salman. Now, sir, tell me something. If you make this order instrument, is Shubham liable? Is Shubham liable? No, sir. Until Shubham accepts this particular bill of exchange, he is not personally liable. Now, sir, how will Shubham accept? So, sir, when you make this bill of exchange, you will go and give this to Salman Khan. You will go. Who will go? Mr. ABC will go and give it to Salman Khan. कि Salman Shubham से 50,000 रुपए ले लेना. Salman. Yes, Somesh, you are correct. So, Salman, तुम ना शुभम से 50,000 rupees ले लेना. You take 50,000 rupees from Shubham. Now, Salman will first go to Shubham asking, कि boss, will you accept this particular bill of exchange? Will you accept this bill of exchange? Sir, now when you go for an acceptance, now law has legally given you 48 hours. When you go for acceptance, law has legally given you how many hours? Law has legally given you 48 hours. Now, when you have 48 hours, you have to accept within those 48 hours or reject it. But when Salman went to you, now what happened, sir? Suno. Shubham had to pay to Salman. Salman gave this to Aishwarya. Aishwarya gave this to Abhishek Bachchan. Abhishek Bachchan went to Shubham asking Shubham, will you please accept this bill of exchange? Sir, law says you have to accept within 48 hours. Shubham said, boss, boss, नहीं हो पाएगा मेरे से 48 hours में. I'll not be able to accept in 48 hours, so I'm not keeping well. I'll take 4 days to accept it. Sir, 48 hours is basically 2 days. I cannot accept it in 2 days. I'll need 4 days to accept it. सर अभिषेक बच्चन से हाँ ठीक है कोई बात नहीं 4 दिन रख कोई बात नहीं तू 4 दिन रख एक्सेप्ट करके दे सर अभिषेक बच्चन कांट डू दिस फॉर डूइंग दिस अभिषेक बच्चन विल हैव टू टेक कंसेंट ऑफ सलमान खान एंड ऐश्वर्या राय if both of them give their consent only then you can give Shubham 4 days to accept it if they do not give their consent you cannot give Shubham 4 days if without consent you end up giving 4 days to Shubham now if you end up giving 4 days to Shubham in that case Salman and Aishwarya both of them are discharged sir law says give 48 hours for accepting bill of exchange 48 hours from presentation na beta Shivam from presentation na when you present the bill of exchange for acceptance uske 48 hours mein he'll have to accept if he is not able to do it you cannot give him extension if you are giving extension you will have to take consent of all the parties involved if there is a party who did not give his consent but still you give him extended hour in that case it will be that particular person will be discharged from his liability he will not be liable anymore samjhe sir now sir similarly Mr. Shubham gave a bill of exchange to Salman gave to Aishwarya कितने रुपए का था सर 50,000 का था Aishwarya gave this to Abhishek Bachchan now Abhishek Bachchan he went to Shubham give me 50 will you accept this bill of exchange Shubham wrote in the bill of exchange accepted for rupees 30,000 Shubham wrote in the bill of exchange accepted for rupees 30,000 can he make such partial acceptance sir no can he make such partial acceptance no should Abhishek Bachchan agree to such partial acceptance no Abhishek Bachchan should not agree to such partial or this is also called as sir qualified acceptance what acceptance is Shubham giving Shubham is saying that if I earn 1 lakh rupees then I will pay this 50,000 rupees. If I earn 1 lakh rupees, then I will pay this 50,000 rupees. This is what said. This is qualified acceptance. Can you give such qualified acceptance? The answer is no. You cannot give such qualified acceptance. If you at all have to accept such qualified acceptance now, you will have to check with Salman Khan and Aishwarya also. The Abhishek Bachchan will go to Aishwarya and Salman and say, Salman and Aishwarya, ek to tum dur raho pehle. तुम पहले अलग अलग रहो दूर रहो and what I'm saying is Shubham is saying that he can't pay 50,000 or if he'll pay if he gets 1 lakh rupees should I say okay if they say okay then they are liable but if they don't agree to it they'll be like Shubham nahi dega bhai usse pooch le tu so if they are like they don't give their consent and if you still agree to such acceptance then Salman and Aishwarya both are discharged basically sir if something is happening against something is not happening the way it should happen you should have given your consent if you are not giving your consent then don't do it okay so this is basically discharge I was talking to you about discharge I said discharge can be because of 3 manners first of all cancellation release or payment then I said discharge can be of further 2 reasons bill of exchange not accepted within 48 hours or bill of exchange have been accepted in a qualified manner sir itna samjha तीसरा sir bill coming to acceptor sir what happened is A gave a bill of exchange to B gave it to C gave it to D D went to A for what acceptance he went to A for acceptance uske baad what did D do accept ho jane ke baad D went to E went to F went to A and A gave it to A Now, sir, the person who is accepted is also the payer. The person who has accepted to pay is also the person who is now eligible to receive. So, sir, इसी को मिलना है, इसी को देना है. He only has to receive the money. He only has to receive the money. He only has to give the money. In that case, sir, the bill of negotiable instrument is said to be discharged. The negotiable instrument is said to be paid. Okay. उसके बाद, sir, now there are two important points. One is about check. One is about material alteration. Listen to me very carefully. One is about check. One is about material alteration. Sir, what about check? What about check? Sir, check का एक बहुत important point है. Listen to me very carefully. हाँ. Sir, if Shubham had issued a check to Salman Khan, Shubham said to Salman, भाई सुन, मेरी शादी है. कब? 1st January 2020, 2024. ठीक है. आज ही है सर, मान लो 2022 को. मतलब इसी साल में. अब सर, I said that Salman, this is my wedding day. You have to perform. Take a check of rupees 50,000. Okay. Now, after the wedding is done, 7 days के अंदर you go and claim the check. You go and claim the check. Sir, is this written somewhere 7 days? No, this is just the understanding between me and Salman, that Salman, after my wedding, after you perform, you go and please claim this check in the bank. Now, where did I have my bank, sir? My account was with HDFC Bank. My account was with HDFC Bank. Now, listen to me very carefully. HDFC Bank जाने दो, sir. HDFC Bank जाने दो. Yes Bank. ठीक है? Yes Bank. Now, what happened was, Salman was ideally supposed to go till 7th January. Okay. But what did Salman do? Salman decided to go to the bank. Salman decided to go to the bank on 28th of February. 28th of February. But what happened, sir? On 20th of January, 20th of January, Yes Bank started saying no. मतलब क्या सर? Yes Bank हो गया insolvent. Yes Bank हो गया क्या सर? Yes Bank had such a position that it was not able to repay its money. It was not able to repay its money, and because of that, what happened? You know, I had 1 lakh rupees in my bank account. I had 1 lakh rupees in my bank account. I was not able to get that money. So this money was a loss, or this money was a damage for me. This money was a loss, or this money was a damage for me. But sir, इसमें एक बात बताओ. इसमें what happened was, I gave you a check. We decided that you will present the check within 7 days, but you did not present it for 2 months. And before you could present it, the bank where I had my account, that bank failed. That bank failed and I lost money. Now, sir, tell me, because of this, what will happen? Sir, because of this, the negotiable instrument will be discharged. Sorry, the party will be discharged. Which party, sir? Shubham as a party will be discharged. Shubham will not be liable anymore. Sir, bolo kyun? Why will Shubham will not be liable? Because reasonable सी बात है यार. We decided that you will present it in 7 days. 7 days का तुम 10 days ले लो, 15 days ले लो, 4 दिन ले लो, समझ आता है. 7 days का 2 months कहां से होता है? And because of you, because of Salman Khan, so that your payment can be done, I had maintained a balance in my account. अगर तुम प्रेजेंट नहीं करते तो मेरे अकाउंट में 50,000 रुपए होते, सिर्फ 50,000 होते. बट बिकॉज आई न्यू दैट सलमान विल मेक द प्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ द चेक, आई हैव टू कीप एडिशनल 50,000. But now, just because you did not present it on time, I lost more money. So in this case, sir, Shubham will be discharged and Shubham will not be liable anymore. Up to how much amount, sir? Up to the amount of loss that Shubham has paid. For example, instead of 1 lakh rupees, if Shubham had 10,000 rupees in his bank account, if I had only 10,000 rupees in my bank account, then I would have been discharged up to a liability of 10,000, and the remaining 40,000 I would have paid. I would have discharged till the liability of 10,000. The remaining 40,000 I would have paid. But sir, remember, अब सलमान क्या करेगा? सलमान की क्या गलती है? तो लॉ ने बोला सलमान की कोई गलती नहीं है, हम बस शुभम को माफ कर रहे हैं. वी आर जस्ट लेटिंग शुभम गो. सलमान कैन नाउ डायरेक्टली क्लेम द मनी फ्रॉम द बैंक. Salman can now directly claim the money from the bank. Bank, you are liable to pay me the money. You pay me the money. That way you can directly claim the money from the bank. Did you understand, sir? Let me explain this to you again. Sir, the check was dated 1st January. The understanding was that you will claim it by 7th January, but you did not claim it till 28th February. Before you could claim it, but after the due date. Now, sir, imagine a situation. The amount payable was how much? 50,000. Okay. And how much was the amount in the bank account? 1 lakh was the amount in bank account. Okay. Now, if the bank failed on 4th of January, if the bank failed on bank failed 4th of January, this is not Salman's mistake. Shubham will pay. Shubham will pay. But sir, if the bank failed after 7th of January, but before 28th of February, then in that case, Shubham discharged. Bank liable to Salman. Shubham will be discharged, bank will be liable to Salman. Shubham discharge कितने तक के हो जाएगा सर? Up to loss suffered. लॉस कितना हुआ सर शुभम को? शुभम के बैंक अकाउंट में 1 लाख रुपए थे, 1 लाख रुपए थे शुभम के बैंक अकाउंट में, वो 1 लाख रुपए तक का लॉस होगा, वो 1 लाख रुपए तक का लॉस होगा. डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड सर? That was discharged by when a check is not presented within a reasonable time. And the last form of discharge is sir material alteration. What is material alteration? सर मेरे को एक बात बताओ. A gave a check to B, B gave a check to C, C gave a check to D. The amount was for 50,000. The amount was for 50,000. When D was giving that check to E, now in that same 50,000, D added one more zero and made it 5 lakhs. So this alteration is a material alteration, sir. This is a material alteration. ये ना अचानक से दुनिया बदल दी, जज्बात बदल दिए, वो वाला सीन है. Material alteration मतलब क्या सर? बहुत significant alteration. So if a material alteration is happening now, all the prior parties will be discharged. If a material alteration is happening, all the parties who are liable will be discharged. Sir, material alteration मतलब क्या सर? What is material alteration? Material alteration मतलब सर दो इफेक्ट होता है, एक तो बिजनेस इफेक्ट, दूसरा लीगल इफेक्ट. सर लीगल इफेक्ट मतलब क्या? लीगल इफेक्ट मतलब आप एक बिल, एक ऑर्डर इंस्ट्रूमेंट को प्रॉमिसरी नोट बना रहे हो, या प्रॉमिसरी नोट को ऑर्डर इंस्ट्रूमेंट कैसे बना रहे हो? बना कैसे रहे हो सर? ऑर्डर वर्ड लिखा था, आपने ऑर्डर काट करके प्रॉमिस वर्ड लिख दिया. ऑर्डर वर्ड लिखा था, आपने ऑर्डर वर्ड काट के प्रॉमिस वर्ड लिख दिया. दीज काइंड ऑफ चेंजेस आर मटीरियल ऑल्टरेशन. सर चेंजिंग द डेट, changing the sum, changing rate of interest, changing time of repayment, time of payment, all these alteration are material alteration. And when material alteration are done, all the intermediary parties are discharged. But sir, some alteration are not called material alteration. Some alteration are not called material alteration. I'll give you an example, very simple. Sir, Shubham gave a check to Salman. ठीक है, और सलमान का स्पेलिंग मैंने क्या लिखा चेक में? सलमान खान. सर isn't this an apparent mistake? Isn't this an apparent mistake that there should be an A here? तो आपने यहाँ पे करेक्शन कर दिया, आपने A लिख दिया. So that is not a material alteration, that is a clerical correction. That is a clerical error which you just corrected, so that is not a big deal. Second example, sir, if Shubham gave a promissory note. Shubham gave a promissory note to Salman to Dash for rupees 50,000. Shubham gave a promissory note to Dash for rupees 50,000 and gave it to Salman Khan. Salman Khan ने बस अपना यहाँ पे नाम भर दिया. Salman Khan ने अपना नाम लिख दिया. Is this a material alteration, sir? No, this is not a material alteration. This is what the intention was of Shubham and Salman, who are the original parties. This was the intention. The intention was pay to Salman Khan, और मैंने बस लिख दिया. So that is not a material alteration. Sir, similarly, any unintentional alteration मतलब क्या सर? आपका जानबूझ के आपने नहीं किया, गलती से हो गया. या सर अगर आपने negotiable instrument issue करने के पहले, what did you do? If you made any alteration, these kind of things, if you are doing minor corrections, these are not material alteration. And if it is not a material alteration, then the party will not be held liable. Sir, for example, Shubham Singhal gave a negotiable instrument to Salman. Now Salman has a nephew at home. Salman Khan has a 1-year nephew at home. This 1-year nephew गलती से 50,000 के बाजू में he added a zero. Is this a material alteration? No, this is not a material alteration. Salman will later on cross this off and go and tell sorry that अरे बस वो मेरा nephew कर दिया, मैंने ध्यान नहीं दिया, I am not responsible, please माफ कर दो. माफ कर देंगे. बट सर अगर मटीरियल ऑल्टरेशन होता है ना, तो सारे इंटरमीडिएरी पार्टीज जो हैं डिस्चार्ज हो जाते हैं. सारे इंटरमीडिएरी पार्टीज डिस्चार्ज हो जाते हैं. सर समझा? अब सर मेरी बात सुनो, लिसन टू मी वेरी केयरफुली. सर ये जो ऑल्टरेशन होता है, कुछ ऑल्टरेशन इफ यू नो, the act itself allows, the negotiable instrument act by default it allows some alteration. What are those alterations, sir? If You are converting an endorsement in blank to an endorsement in full. सर एंडोर्समेंट इन ब्लैंक मतलब क्या? आपने वो एक ऑर्डर इंस्ट्रूमेंट था उसको पेबल टू डैश कर दिया. यू हैड कन्वर्टेड इट इनटू एन एंडोर्समेंट इन फुल इन ब्लैंक. नाउ यू कैन फर्दर कन्वर्ट दैट इनटू एंडोर्समेंट इन फुल. दैट काइंड ऑफ कन्वर्जन इज कॉल्ड एज कन्वर्जन एंड इट विल नॉट बी कंसिडर्ड मटेरियल ऑल्टरेशन. दूसरा सर, अगर आपने अगर आपने एक चेक की क्रॉसिंग की, अगर आपने एक चेक की क्रॉसिंग की, इज दिस अ मटेरियल ऑल्टरेशन? नो, दिस इज समथिंग which is allowed by law and this is not a problem. So if basically the crux is that sir, material alteration is very important. अगर आप मटेरियल ऑल्टरेशन कर रहे हो ना, अगर आप मटेरियल ऑल्टरेशन कर रहे हो तो आपके सारे इंटरमीडिएट पार्टीज जो है वो डिस्चार्ज हो जाएंगे. समझे सर? करेक्ट. Okay guys, so here is the scene. Unfortunately we will have to end the session. Unfortunately we will have to end the session because gone. Now what I will do is I'll speak to ICI, okay? And what I'll do is I will provide you recording of this balance lecture. So जहां तक मैंने पढ़ाया है वहां से I'll start recording. I'll start recording when I have my normal voice back. And once I have my normal voice back, I will start recording and I'll give this recording to you so that you can watch this at your own convenience. I will try to record this in the next 3 days. In the next 3 days, subject to this. Okay, I will try to record it in the next 3 days, subject to this. But but after we are done with the recording, also we will do a revision session. After we are done with the recording, we will do a revision session wherein we will go through the whole Negotiable Instrument Act very soon. Okay, that revision can happen on my YouTube also, or I'll check with ICI if they can let me upload it on your portal. I'll upload it there also, but you can always find it on my YouTube also. Okay, so this is what we will be going to do. Okay. सर मिस किरण कह रही है तो सर मटेरियल ऑल्टरेशन में इंसान मटेरियल ऑल्टरेशन कर देगा, बाद में बोलेगा अरे आई डिडंट डू इट इंटेंशनली. यू कैन ऑलवेज डू इट, यू कैन ऑलवेज डू इट, यू विल ऑलवेज डू मटेरियल ऑल्टरेशन एंड दे विल देन यू विल से इट वाज नॉट इंटेंशनल. बट सर सामने वाला तो पागल नहीं है. अगर आप मेरे को बोलोगे इफ यू हैव कन्वर्टेड 50,000 इनटू 5 लाख एंड यू आर सेइंग अरे ये मेरा नेफ्यू कर दिया, तो सेंस बनता है. बट व्हाट यू हैव आल्सो डन इज नीचे इट वाज रिटन इन वर्ड्स, 50,000 was written in words. You actually crossed those two words and you wrote 5 lakh rupees. 5 lakh rupees. In that case बॉस वो बोलेंगे भाई तुम्हारा नेफ्यू ये तो नहीं लिखेगा ना, तो ये समझ आता है तुम्हारे नेफ्यू ने कर दिया, ये तो तुम नहीं लिखोगे ना, तो इट कैन नॉट बी इंटेंशनल. सो यू विल हैव टू प्रूव दैट इट वाज अनइंटेंशनल. ओके. बंद रेडी बोल रहे हैं कि सर आपका ईमेल आईडी जहां पे हम आपको कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं, आप ईमेल आईडी आप आईसीआई के थ्रू ही कांटेक्ट करो, आईसीआई के थ्रू ही कांटेक्ट करो एंड आईसीआई विल रीच आउट टू अस. Okay, but if you want, if so for example I was not able to upload the notes in the portal, in the paper 2 portal, so I uploaded it in paper 1 k notes, paper 1 FRK notes mein if you go and find, you will find this particular notes. But you can always go to my website shubhamsinghal.com and always find there also the notes. I'll upload the notes there also. You can always go to shubhamsinghal.com and there also you can find the notes. Okay, but I've already uploaded, but do check it in the FR section. FR section mein I have uploaded the notes. Do check it there. Okay. Yeah, I can see it in paper 1 FR. आज के डेट पे है, आज के डेट पे आप वो देख लेना. ठीक है guys, I will end the session. Tech team, are you here? Okay, guys. So I'll end the session. I hope you understand. I hope you understand. And I will see you soon. Okay. Until then, bye bye. Until then, bye bye. Okay. If you want to stay connected with me, you can stay connected on YouTube. On YouTube, my YouTube channel name is Shubham Singhal. You can be there with me on Telegram. You can find me on Telegram. But these are the. उसके अलावा I'm also available on LinkedIn. I'm also available on a platform called LinkedIn. और उसके अलावा ICI में तो मैं आता ही रहूंगा. ठीक है. Chalo guys, until then, until I see you again, I'll see you with a recorded batch. And until then, bye bye. Sir? हाँ सर, सेशन बंद कर दो। मैं आईसीआई में बात कर लूंगा। बिल्कुल गले से आवाज ही नहीं निकल रही है ना? हेलो? ठीक है। और हो गया मतलब? हाँ हो गया ना? स्टॉप कर दो। डन क्या? हाँ, हो गया ना? बंद हो गया ना सेशन? हेलो?
Recording stopped.
ओके सर, चलो। थैंक यू सर, बाय।